From the heart of the land of the Guardians, where the dog pound roars, the Cavs soar, and heartbreak is just part of the game, this is 3 and Out, Cleveland Sports Talk. With Jason, Drew, and Michael, 3 diehard fans breaking down the highs, the lows, and everything in between. No fluff, no filters, just Cleveland sports the way it's meant to be. Now let's get into it. Here's your hosts, Michael, Jason, and Drew.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is 3 and Out, once again operating as second and long. This is Jason here with Drew. We are a day-ish later than we like to be. Normally we do this show on a Monday. Monday was actually my birthday. I was out doing stuff with my kids.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. I'm a year younger.
You don't look
If
a
you can't
day
tell.
over 50.
Well, it's right around the corner. So thank you for that. But no, so I was at Topgolf, actually getting beat by my 8-year-old. So, well, almost 8. He's not even 8 yet. He's 7. So he beat me in the. Have you ever been to Topgolf?
I have, yeah.
You know the blocks game?
Yes.
When we ran out of time, I had finished mine. He was at 145,000. I think I was at like 70 or 80. Yeah, so it was bad.
Nice.
It was bad.
Nice.
But it was fun. It was good times, but it did delay us. So you will notice that some of our slides are slightly outdated. I actually made them on Monday, Sunday and Monday. Didn't have time to edit them, but they still pertain. And so we're going to update because obviously there's been some changes with the Browns. There's been some updates with the Guardians.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about all that.
Pretty exciting week.
Yeah. So a lot going on, a lot of changes. The fortunate part is we don't have to just sit here and lament how bad the Browns are. Now, we're going to talk about it.
We will.
Yes, we will lament it, but it
not
won't
the
be
whole time.
just.
The whole show will not be
Yeah.
lamenting.
So we will have some good things to talk about, some interesting things and some discussion. And I imagine when we get to the big topic on the Browns, you and I will differ.
I mean, it stands to reason that we will, but
Yes.
you know, I may surprise you. I'm becoming a lot more negative in my old age. The pessimism is seeping in, and
The question is, when it comes to the Browns, what is there to positive to talk about?
yeah.
So
Well,
we will.
there is really some. I think we agree on that.
Yeah,
It's
there is some, but I think when it comes to the quarterback, you and I are going to differ a little bit.
okay.
I think our opinions will differ. There's been too much agreement because that means I have to admit you're right because I'm always right. And so a little bit of disagreement might be good for
That's
us.
right.
But,
That's right.
we'll see. So first off, we're going to go back to Sunday Browns game and just give some instant reactions, thoughts. You know, I don't know what your opinions are on the game. Obviously, they got blown out by Detroit.
Yeah, 34-10 loss. This marks the fourth underwhelming offensive performance of the season. We're 4 for 4 in underwhelming offensive performances. It's hard to watch. You know, the offensive line is bad. The quarterback play is bad. The wide receiving room is bad. Offensively, it's no bueno. Not a whole lot of redeeming qualities offensively, other than to say,
If we're going to speak Spanish, it's actually muy mal.
okay, thank you for that.
Oh.
No bueno is
It's no good. Muy mal is very bad.
I gotcha. Okay.
Muy mal.
Well, what he
Sorry,
said.
go ahead.
Judkins still remains to be a bright spot. I love how that kid runs, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But you know, defensively, you know, it's good. There's a lot of good things defensively.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
This is your instant reaction. I'm trying not to interrupt, but I had a thought. But no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Defensively, there's a lot of good things. You know, we put our defense either out on the field too much or in bad positions, turning the ball over and giving the other team a short field. We did that again, you know, obviously this week a couple times. And that's just not a good recipe. We talk about playing complementary football, and with the offense that Kevin Stefanski runs, you know, like it or lump it. I tend to lump it right now. We cannot afford to have any of the phases missing on any cylinders, and the offense is just pitiful. So
you want to play complementary football, but there's currently very little complementary football for us to talk about.
Yes. Very little.
Either or.
Right.
Complet or complet.
Yeah.
Very little of both.
Very little. It's and that's what you get. You play a good team like Detroit, you know, and your offense can't generate
on the road
anything.
Yeah.
And this is what you get. You know, we can't continue to not put points on and put pressure and make them change their dynamic. Now, we did hold their very good running game. We held them to 109 yards on the ground. I still
Except
feel
Jameer, I think, had 95.
Yeah.
So we did good against Montgomery.
Yeah. And I think Gibbs had 37 yard run or something like that. So the chunk of his yards came on that. But for the most part, our run defense has been very stout. But you know, we can't put our defense in those kind of positions and expect a different outcome. You know, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this more when we get to the future and going forward with the Browns. But what realistic expectations with the changes that have been made can we expect? And I'm sure we're going to talk about that again. Special teams, there wasn't a whole lot. We lost DeAndre Carter, so we get a return man. He's injured.
When's the last time we had a return man that was healthy for the entire season? A return specialist. Yeah. Now, you know, at one point, I think wasn't Duke Johnson running, you know, returning stuff, and you know, he was just our third string running back.
Yeah. And same thing last year. We had you know,
we had Nyheim Hines
that didn't play,
and he got hurt.
Yeah,
and then the 2 years prior was the other guy that we signed
that didn't make it out of camp.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row didn't make it out of camp. So and now you know, I know we're not to the changes yet, but Gage Laverdane got pulled up off the practice squad and signed to the roster, as well as Corley, another wide receiver.
Which I don't know much about him. I'll be honest.
Came from the Jets. High-round draft pick. Initially underperformed. Had, I think, some personality conflicts.
So essentially, like every Browns wide receiver outside of Amari Cooper the 1 year.
So we didn't get much of a chance to see him in the preseason. But
you talking about Gage? Or you talking about Corley? Corley,
yeah. So Gage Laverdane had a great preseason,
right?
And you know, so my expectation is that he will be returning punts and doing kickoffs. At that position, as well as, you know, Tillman now hurt. So I'd imagine there'll be a bevy of guys to take his snaps.
Well, I'll talk about that part of it later, because I have some thoughts on the wide receiver room.
You know, coaching, you know, again, defensively, I have no complaints. Even though we gave up 34 points, even though we lost the game, defensively, I can't complain about Schwartz at this point. You know, he's been put in a tough spot. Now, Stefanski, you know, I've got issues. There's issues. You know, you cannot compete in the NFL.
Welcome.
Yeah. You cannot compete in the NFL scoring sub 15 points a game and expect, you know, I don't care how good your defense is. It's just not, it's not good. So,
and I'll try to hold my comments with fun stuff for later, because there are, obviously, you know how I feel about them, but it's more than that. And, you know, I think it's at least worth discussing. But my thoughts on the game, it's a lot like yours. It's just, you knew it was going to be tough. Detroit's a Super Bowl caliber team. They're going to be a playoff team. They have one of the most elite offenses in the entire NFL. They are very well coached. They're a hard-nosed team. But you still got to go out and compete. You know, you look at New Orleans. They played Buffalo, who's undefeated, and they gave Buffalo a game.
Yeah.
New Orleans, in terms of talent, is worse than Cleveland. Yeah. Even at the quarterback position, and they were at least competitive.
That's saying something.
I know, right? And I'm sorry. Let me go defense. First of all, defensively, we gave up 277 yards. Still haven't given up 300 yards of offense all season. And I imagine after this, we're still going to be the number one defense in terms of yardage in the NFL. Yeah. You know, when we played Baltimore, we gave up 240 yards and 41 points. This time we gave up 277 yards, but 34 points because we had 2 interceptions. We had a fumble, another fumble that was called back. Yeah. I mean, theoretically, Joe Flacco had 4 turnovers. Whether you want to blame, you know, one of the interceptions on him, one of the receivers, doesn't matter. They're still turnovers. You know, our defense was very, very good. There was a couple plays where Jameer got loose. There was a couple plays where St. Brown got loose. But that's play design. That's coaching. That's offense. That's seeing a hole, calling a play that puts your receiver in that position. That's what a coach looks like. I'll get to that later. But defensively, I otherwise don't have any gripes. I thought we played well. The only thing, I guess, if I had to say a gripe, is Myles Garrett didn't really do anything. He had some pressure. Like he got after a little bit, but he never made a play that impacted the game at all. Mason Graham, didn't hear his name called at all.
No, non-factor this game. That's for sure.
Not just a non-factor. If I'm wrong, if I might be wrong. I don't think he had a stat.
I think you're right.
I don't think he had a stat. And I actually saw something today. Now, again, I don't know where Travis Hunter, and we're not going to revisit the whole trade, but a thing today where he's ranked like 77th in the NFL out of all defensive linemen. A good, bad? I don't know. I haven't looked at the list. But for a guy that was drafted, now that, as far as I know, that's defensive tackles, not. I don't. I think it's just defensive tackles. I could be wrong. That's unacceptable for a guy that's drafted where he was drafted. Now, you've played 4 good teams. Detroit has a good offensive line. I don't care. At this point, there are no excuses. You got to go out and you got to perform.
Yeah, we were singing his praises a week ago.
Right.
And he had the 43% win rate, pass rush, against the Packers, and so the I guess as the season progresses, there's a couple things, there's film of him now.
Yeah.
There's no secrets anymore.
He's not going to run anybody over.
Right. So they can see what we're doing with him, how we're moving him around, and it's going to be on Schwartz to give him opportunities
to succeed
by our scheming. So but to your point, no, there was no flash. We were, as a team, at the upper echelon in sacks going into this game. No sacks.
We didn't get one. Not one
sack. So again, Detroit has a very good offensive line.
Goff is a very veteran, intelligent, crafty QB.
Yes,
he doesn't take a lot of hits.
Right, and he took 5 hits, 5 QB hits, and that was Mason Graham's one stat, was that he had.
He did get okay.
But Myles Garrett had 2, Shelby Harris with 1, Malik Collins with 1. So I'm not overly concerned.
No, not against them. But I would have liked to have seen more impact by the defensive line.
Yeah.
If we were going to go, and our defense still did good, but we're going to go as a team right now on how that defensive line goes. The more they dominate, the better chance we have to win.
Wow.
But offensively, I don't know if you can read it. My shirt. Just pull yourself together, man. Okay, our offense is in shambles. It's in pieces. It's in parts. It's guys hurt, guys out. Judy dropping passes, Fannin dropping passes. Sampson disappeared. He's a ghost. Jerome Ford fell off the face of the earth. Offensive linemen are broken in half. Like we're literally going to Sam's Club, and we're going to Best Buy, and we're just finding big guy. Hey, you want to come play?
Yeah.
Like it's just our offense is in shambles, it's in pieces, and we need to pull ourselves together. That's all I have to say about the offense. We've beat that drum to death. Bad. Our special teams, like Bajorquez, doesn't even look like Bajorquez right now. Like our offense and our special teams, if you had to give them a 4-game grade, a 20, grade quarter through the year, they're both Fs. I'm sorry, they're both Fs. They've failed on every front.
Yep.
The lone bright spot we'll talk more about later is Judkins. You mentioned him. That's the lone bright spot. So let's move on to something a little more fun to talk about. The Guardians. Now, when we put this together, they had just clinched the division.
Yes.
With their last 2 games. And now, since we have 2 playoff games. So I guess go ahead and instant reaction from you on those 4 games overall.
Just the historic close to the season for the Guardians. In July, we were 15.5 games back. Written off by all accounts. There's no,
by all of us as well.
Yeah, there was no coming back from that. And this team fought and clawed, and a couple things had to happen. We had to have a historic run at the end of the season to get back in the playoff picture. Detroit had an epic collapse.
They did. That is true.
From being 15 and a half games up, that teeter-totter goes both ways. And we had, the perfect storm, so to speak, but we closed with 6 games against Detroit and won 5 of 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took 2 or 3 from Texas to clinch the division, get home field advantage for the wild card game against Detroit. So just a couple things, and you wrote these stats down. I'm gonna kind of play off of what you wrote down here, but the first team since Minnesota did it several years ago, I think, that finished the season with a negative
run differential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's one thing. So we, in the regular season, we had 6 less runs than our opponents. Ended up, above 500 and making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then what was the other stat you had about the batting average?
It's the lowest batting average in Cleveland Indians / Guardians 125-year history. The lowest team batting average in history.
Yeah. So there's nobody on this
And we made
team
the playoffs.
minus Jose Ramirez that you can say, oh my gosh, okay, there's a guy that's batting close to 300. He didn't even hit 300.
283, I believe.
Yeah. So, Stephen Kwan, who I'm very high on. I love that guy. I love his.
He was a disappointment this year.
Just a huge letdown as far as his batting. He regressed.
But from the middle of last year, he came back from injury through this season. I mean, he was, when he got hurt last year, he was batting right around, if not over 400. And we were having legitimate talks about, what his batting average could be, how he could end the year. And since then, I mean, I'd have to go back and look. I'll bet you his average is 250.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in
260.
Back in July, I mean, Bieber got traded, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kwan was
we
on
were
the
sellers.
block.
Yeah, we were sellers. And we kept Kwan.
Kwan was on the block,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like things were going to go to typical Cleveland fashion, back to rebuild. And they turned it around, and it was. The last 2 weeks of the regular season were the last 20 games anyway. The last 3 weeks.
From September 4th, they were 11 games back.
Yeah.
So from September 4th on, so however many games that was, however many days, like that baseball was incredible to follow.
Yeah. So, all the momentum as far as wins and losses, we carry right into the postseason. And did it essentially with very little offense. I mean, it's all pitching and defense.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Our offense, our not to interrupt you, but our pitching was, the ERA in September as a team was like 1.7.
Yeah.
Now there was a couple games left, which the one game they gave up quite a few runs.
Yeah.
But it's still, you're probably 1.8. I mean, that's incredible over the course of like almost an entire month.
And this is that team that just, they're not going to be the home run hitters. I say that. And today,
that's how they scored all their runs.
Yeah. So,
Valera.
We won 6-1 in Game 2 of the Wild Card Series. Valera had a home run. Rocchio had a home run. Naylor had a home run. So,
which again, and I don't mean to keep interrupting you. I guess we'll just go back and forth on this. Because this is just kind of one of the games literally just ended, but you think back to the game to clinch the playoffs.
Yeah.
We win on a hit by pitch.
Yeah.
Which is
walk-off hit by pitch. Yeah.
I'd love to know how many times that's happened in baseball history.
Yeah.
The most Guardians way to win a game.
Yeah, yeah.
But then to clinch the division, who was it?
Rocchio.
Bo Naylor hit an RBI double.
Yep.
And then Rocchio hit a 3-run homer.
Yeah, yeah.
Who was it tonight?
Rocchio
and Naylor.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see Kwan and Ramirez and Manzardo, like your big bats.
Yeah.
Your reliable guy. Manzardo is not average. He's a big bat.
Yeah.
Ramirez is supposed to be both. Kwan is supposed to be something.
Yeah.
Now, Ramirez walked a couple times today.
Yeah.
But where were they?
Right.
And yesterday, the home run was, what's his face? Oh my gosh.
Oh, yesterday's game?
The run they got yesterday was a home run, was it not?
Oh, well, let me look back. Hang on.
Or am I wrong? Why my brain is not functioning.
So that would have been Wednesday's game.
Yeah,
No, Tuesday's game.
today's Wednesday, correct. But it was another. But anyway, there's you still haven't gotten any contribution. Now you're playing Schoolboy yesterday. That makes sense. But you're not getting any contribution from the guys who you should
it was
be.
an infield single. Martinez,
Oh, that's right.
Martinez
That's
scored.
right, because
Yeah.
they didn't get any big hits. Last night was when they got a guy on third base with no outs and couldn't bring him in to tie the game.
Yeah, no. So the score in yesterday's game was Arias hit a grounder over. It bounced over the pitcher's head. He picked it up between the pitcher's mound and second base, and fired it home. And Martinez avoided the tag, and they actually ruled him out. And then on review, he scores. So
No, see,
but then we had an opportunity at the end of that game to score. We had Ramirez on third with no outs.
Yeah.
All we needed was
something.
a sac fly. We needed somebody to do something.
And a base running blunder.
And
So, but I was gonna say it's one of the things that's kind of annoying, and we were just talking about this before, is those of us that work.
Yeah.
Can't watch a 1 p.m. game.
I watched it.
That's what I said. Those of us that work.
That was a shot at me.
That was a shot
Nice.
at you.
I like
Yes. But
do work.
I'm following along as best I can, but I can't watch it because I'm in my office at work. I can't watch it, so I'm following along. I'm trying to watch Gamecasts, those types of things. So it'd be nice if Game 3 could be at night tomorrow.
We're hoping. It's to be determined now. They they had it scheduled for 1:00, and then if one of these other games, if Boston wins tonight or the Dodgers win, then they might flex us to a different time.
Yeah.
So see how that goes.
One of the things, and we're going to talk some more Guardians anyway, so I'm going to kind of segue into just talking a little more about the Guardians. But the thing in this, I don't know if you saw this. I posted this on our account on Facebook and X, but the dichotomy of being a Cleveland fan. The Guardians do more with less than probably any team in professional sports. They have a nothing payroll. They have talent that, nobody really has heard of. They find pitchers out of nowhere and turn them into viable pitching prospects. They do more with nothing. Their payroll is minimal. I want to say it's second or third lowest in the majors. But on the other side, you have the Browns.
Yeah.
Who have paid more cash for their players over the last 5 or 6 years than any team in the NFL. One playoff win. They do less with more than any team in sports.
Which is so aggravating because we, as a Browns fan, historically, we've never been the splash team. Never been the team that goes out and gets, and again, I'm not saying one philosophy is wrong. Obviously, we're not bringing in the right people, but we've talked in the off season. It's refreshing to say, okay, we know that the owner and the management is going to go. They're going to try to put together a competitive roster, but it's not. It's not being realized for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if the Guardians would put a little bit more money into payroll and be able to go out and get some of these guys.
I think that's kind of the hope with and I don't know when it's supposed to happen when the new ownership takes over, because maybe they'll spend more. But as of right now, they don't have Jimmy Haslam, who's worth $13 billion.
Yeah.
Their owner is, doesn't have that kind of cash flow where he can say.
In the regular season,
we're a small market.
We're not selling out every regular season game, but we're not the worst.
No.
In
ticket
sales. So
although in September we were
the worst.
No, we were selling
it out. Yeah, because we were making this historic run,
right.
and But I guess my point is, even with not having the payroll, ownership is still they're reaping the benefits of a loyal, fired up fan base that's hungry for playoff baseball.
As soon as you give us a product worth watching, everybody comes out of the woodwork to watch.
Yeah,
it's the way we are.
The Browns, season ticket. There's a list to get on the season ticket list. I've been kicking myself for the past couple of years on why I keep renewing. But,
because
hopefully a product will come.
because every offseason we say always next year.
Yeah.
There's always next year.
Yeah.
We're gonna be good next year. But let's get back to Guardians.
Yeah. One thing that we've touched on very briefly was just that, some of these playmakers here recently are coming out of the minor leagues or they're rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Valero today, led us off with a home run early in the game, and
you got Kefis and DeLauder. I was telling Jason, for those who don't know, but telling Jason, DeLauder is only the 6th player in Major League Baseball history, so that spans a couple of years.
Yeah, couple.
To ever make his first appearance in a playoff game. That's how rare that is. You have more perfect games than you have guys who make their first appearance in a playoff game. Manzardo's really, this is his first full season.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a group of young guys, I think, that are pretty exciting to look forward to. And Rocchio, I have a topic here, Rocchio Rising, he's a guy that we talked about trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
He was down in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I put that minor league maturation. It kind of goes together. You've got these guys who are coming up from the minor leagues, the Valeras, the Kefis, the DeLauders. You got Rocchio, who spent time this year in the minors. You got guys like that. There was, I was watching a show, and I want to say, I don't know if I wrote it down. Yeah. On the current playoff roster, there are 7 batters and 5 pitchers on their roster, playoff roster, that either were brought up from the minors or were sent down sometime during the year, and then brought back up to the majors.
Yeah.
And, is that a testament to the coaching in the minor leagues? Is it a testament to what they do with the guys in the minor leagues? Because like Rocchio, who was the hero to save the playoffs, and now the hero to save our opportunity to stay in the playoffs, he went down because he was awful.
Mm-hmm.
And since he's come back up, he's our second best batter behind Ramirez.
Yeah.
He's batting 257. I think I wrote that
since
down.
He came back.
257 since he came back. Ramirez is at 258, which again, that's a sad state of affairs when you come talk about our limping lineup. But there's something about what we're doing with our minor leaguers that is encouraging. Now, that by no means means we'll ever keep them.
Right.
Once they get better.
Right.
But it feels like it's been a while since we've really developed our farm. That used to be our calling. When we were growing up, it used to always be the Cleveland Indians were the minor league team for the rest of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
We would get a player, we would make them great, and send them off to another team to make a lot of money and do really, really good.
Yep.
Every player, my favorite, Albert Bell, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, CC Sabathia, Joe Carter, like all these players throughout the decades that we've brought up, they've done really well, and then we send them off. So I don't know that we'll keep any of these, but it would be nice to see this because they are largely young.
Yeah.
Ramirez is old, but our offense is awful, but there's a lot of hope in what you see because of how young and inexperienced.
Yeah.
You had really 4 rookies in a starting playoff lineup today. Maybe more than 4 or just 4? I have to go back through. In a starting playoff game that won 6-1.
Yeah.
And your 2 supposed stud veterans did nothing.
Right. Well, that's a good thing about baseball, is every game you're 0 for 0 when you step up to that plate. So, we can talk about these averages, and again, they're entrenched. The season's a long season, 162 games, as Michael Snow.
We no longer have 162 games left.
Right, but every time you step out there, it's a new opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I think these guys, these young guys especially, and there's obviously some good leadership. We were at an uneasy time when Tito left. What's going to happen to the we were all under the impression that the reason an underperforming team like what we had a couple years ago makes the playoffs is because of good management. Tito made the difference. But you can't argue. Vogt is cut from the same cloth, evidently.
He go ahead. Sorry,
I was just gonna say he's putting it. He's putting it together. You can't. Yeah, we went through a terrible slump there. At one point in the season where I think we had lost 10 in a row or more, but he somehow is making it work with these guys, and so that's kind of cool to see that. Tito passed on.
Yeah.
What
the secret sauce.
Yeah, the secret sauce has been passed on. So
the one thing so Tito struck me as more your strategist. Very good game manager, very cerebral. Excuse me. Always pulled the right strings at the right times, right? Vogt seems to me, and this is just me from 30,000 feet looking down, seems to be more. So Tito would be more what Stefanski would be if Stefanski was a good coach. Okay. Vogt reminds me more of Dan Campbell from Detroit.
Yeah.
He seems to be more of like a motivator, a coach of men, a leader, a guy that players just want to play for and want to do well for.
Yeah.
Now, his in-game stuff sometimes is mind-boggling. His roster changes, his lineup changes. Did it end up working? Yes, but I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. Now, I'm sure he knows. He forgot more about baseball yesterday than I've known my entire life. So that's what I am understanding from a bird's eye view. I'm questioning a guy who knows infinitely more than I do about the sport. But it just seems weird. Like yesterday, I can't even think the guy they had in the 4-hole. You got Manzardo who hit 27 homers, but you're facing a lefty, and I understand Scooble's good. But you put a guy in there who's batting like 160 on the year with 2 homers.
Yeah.
Hitting behind Ramirez.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get it.
They played all 14 position players yesterday.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing when you have only 2 players batting over 235, that when you make substitutions, the fans are just like, oh, yeah, well, let's give this guy a try. The other guys aren't.
Well, and that's what it feels like sometimes. Yeah. It feels like he's literally taking a dart and going and seeing if it sticks. Oh, that didn't work. Let me grab another dart.
Yeah.
That didn't work. Like, that's what it feels like.
Well, if that's what he's doing, I hope he continues.
Well, like I said, you can't argue with the results so far because they don't have a lot of talent in terms of big name. They don't have Aaron Judge. They don't have those types of players. They have a very low payroll, but they're in the playoffs at home with a chance to advance tomorrow. Yeah. Like, it just
kind of surreal. It's,
right.
When you think about it,
nothing to complain about. It was a historic season. They did things this year that have never, ever, 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 ever been done in the history of baseball.
Right.
So kudos to Vogt. Apologize for questioning you. I just don't understand. Now, thoughts on tomorrow? Well, we don't know what time, but
if Vogt would want to come on the podcast and maybe explain some of the
Steven,
strategy to us.
The invitation's there.
That's right.
Anytime.
We'd make time for you.
And we would make a cup of coffee.
That's right.
That's about all we got to talk about.
Yeah, so tomorrow, the starting pitcher for Detroit is Flaherty.
Yeah.
And for us, it is Ciccone. So, the recipe seems to be, get our starters to go 5+, and then
turn it over to the bullpen. Now, here's with the bullpen. I saw the pitch counts today. I don't remember the exact number, but Gaddis and Cade Smith are likely unavailable. And there was a third one, and I can't remember which one it was. But he had only pitched like 20 pitches between the 2 games.
Cade Smith was over 30 today.
Yeah. He's at like 50 between the two games.
Yeah. And
Gaddis was like at 40. So they don't think they'll be available tomorrow. So that's actually something to watch. Now, my question, what I was wondering, as I cut you off again, sorry, was, they ended the year with 6 starting pitchers. Is there a chance they were doing a 6-man rotation that, they bring in like a starting type pitcher to fill some of those middle innings as opposed to
I think all bets
going
are
to a
off
reliever?
Tomorrow. All bets are off. I guess it depends on how how the starter goes. You know, if
Yeah.
he's strong, but if he's getting shelled early or if he's getting hit early, they're onto him. You know, it may be a short leash, and you know,
I think you
I
have
guess-
to because it's win or go home.
yeah, it's win or go home, win or stay home, I guess.
I was gonna say, yeah, we are home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and I think Seattle's next on the list. So, you know, one more good game against Detroit, and it's exciting. I'm pumped. I'm
Yeah.
pumped. You know, it certainly makes what the Browns are a lot more tolerable at this point. So the longer the Guardians keep playing, the better my mood is through the
Well,
week.
if they can win tomorrow, and then you've got at least 4 games with Seattle.
Yep.
That spans another week.
Yep.
That ends, even if that ends there, and I don't think they get swept. But then you're heading into preseason for basketball.
Yeah.
So now we've got Cavs stuff to look forward to because you know they're going to be good. They have some injuries and stuff, and we'll talk about them a little bit more. You know they're going to be good, but they'll be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
So it won't be all, you know, for the last month and a half up until the Guardians went on the run, it was Guardians suck, Browns suck, this sucks.
Yeah.
And now we have Guardians, yay, Buckeyes, yay, Cavs pretty soon, yay,
Yeah.
Browns,
Yeah.
you know, and so it doesn't hurt quite as bad.
Speaking of the Buckeyes, good
Speaking
segue.
of the hey, that was a good segue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me move over there. Let's talk about the Buckeyes. So Buckeyes beat Washington. It was actually a game. I don't know how you felt going in. It was a game I was worried about because Washington's always a talented team. Now, usually when you play Washington, they're a big physical team. I was actually surprised by how much speed they had.
Yeah.
From their quarterback to their receivers to their backs, like they had good team speed, and even defensively, like they made things tough. You know, early in the game, it was like, good Lord,
Yeah.
you know, like questioning the quarterback, questioning Ryan Day, you know, where the heck is Jeremiah Smith? Why can't we move? You know, we had the one drive that stalled after the 4th down, but it took a while to get going. And I don't think that after watching the game and processing, I don't think that was a Buckeyes issue. I think Washington's pretty darn good.
Well, they were 3-0 coming into
Yeah.
the game, so it's
Yeah.
not like they were a slouch. They were unranked, but you know that's a team that you can't sleep on. You got to show up, and you know I think the encouraging thing is, you know, some of these games through this middle chunk of the season are exactly what we need.
Mhm.
You know, we're finding out. You know, there's just we know what Jeremiah Smith is. This is a good
He's good.
time for Sayan
He's good.
to get his groove, get his rhythm.
Yeah.
You know, I think the playbook is expanding for him. We've identified a stud running back, I think, Bo Jackson, which, you know, that's all. And the defense.
And I don't want to say it, but I was tooting his horn after game 1 when he only got crap minutes.
You just liked his name.
I did actually.
Yeah.
I did like that, but I had actually heard some things about him before the season
Yeah.
from somebody that knew him, and they were like adamant that this guy was the deal, and he's showing that.
Well, and that's the cool thing about college football to me, you know, that, you know, we get to kind of watch this team develop.
Yeah.
You know, every year.
It's almost an entirely new team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every year, you know, half the offense, half the defense gets drafted in the NFL, and we come into the beginning of the season not, you know, yeah, they declare him the starting quarterback, and this is who start, but we get a chance to see the maturation of the team and who's going to step up and who's going to rise to the. And you know, Bo Jackson's one of those guys this year, just like Jeremiah Smith was last year.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, he kind of. I mean,
surrounded by top tier wide
Right.
receivers, and
Right.
there's a guy that just rose.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, and before him, Marvin Harrison. I remember his freshman year.
yeah.
Like he dropping. There's like one. I don't know why I remember. There was a pass on the sideline. I remember he threw, ball went like this right between his hands, and I remember saying, "He ain't his dad."
Yeah, right.
You know, and now he's turned out. Now he's having an
He's
up and
struggling
down
this year,
season this year. You know, but Jeremiah is the real deal. What I have liked is you can see with Sayan, and again, I'm not in the huddle, the guy who's starting to take ownership of the team. Early on, it felt a lot like, you know, a kid walking in to pick up basketball for the first time, trying to figure out who's who, you know,
Yep.
hey, pick me,
Yep.
is what it felt like. And now he feels like even when he threw that interception, he's like, It's my bad. He went right to the tablet, was watching stuff, came right back out. Like, he seems like a guy who's taking ownership of position, ownership of his role on the team and of the team.
Yeah.
And the other guy, I think, offensively, that's really started to step up and carve a niche, which I think we needed it, is Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
Which obviously he's a veteran, but wasn't a huge part last year. Early on this year, it was like, hey, we need somebody other than Jeremiah Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really come up big the last couple of games. And he was actually, to me, the catalyst that got our offense moving against Washington, him and Bo Jackson. And then in the second half, they started finding Jeremiah Smith more.
Yeah. Well, between Sayin growing in his position, just like you mentioned, the defense is giving him an opportunity to grow without, excessive pressure. It's not going to be like that forever. As we get into some of these Big Ten games here that are going to be a little bit more challenging, that he's going to have to step up. But I think the nice thing is he's had a little bit of a reprieve here. For a couple games where he could grow, and the defense, I think they've given up 22
points in 4 games.
Yeah. So it's like,
giving up less than 6 points a game.
Yeah. It's like it's like they're playing the Browns every week.
Yeah, I think it's 0, 6, 7, and 8 points is what they've given up. That's 22. Yeah,
it's like they're playing the Browns.
Or no, 7 and 8, something like that. Anyway, no, it was 9.
Could Stefanski score on this Buckeyes defense?
No.
Yeah, I don't think he could either.
No, it can't.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could score on a local high school team. But no, I think this defense it's incredible. It's fast. Caleb Downs, as good as Jeremiah Smith is, Caleb Downs might truly be the best player in college football. He's always in the right spot. He doesn't give up anything. If the guy's supposed to stay in front of him, he keeps him in front of him. The guy catches the ball, he tackles him. Like, he just doesn't. And I'm not watching him every single play, but you don't watch a play where you're like, oop, Caleb's got beat.
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't. And when you have that, pun intended, safety valve on your defense, it allows everybody in front of him to be that much more aggressive.
Yeah.
In terms of making plays, in terms of getting to the ball. Early on, their quarterback, good player. I like him.
Yeah.
Athletic, crafty. He was doing some things, finding open receivers, but as the game wore on, you could see. I remember there was one play, a defensive end ran up the line and just stopped.
Yeah.
Held containment, and you could see the quarterback wanted to roll out, and he stopped, and he just looked, and he was like,
yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
They started to really figure him out, and that's when it went from, ooh, this is a rough one, to, okay, we got this. Once they figured him and the offense and the speed of how they played, that defense, it's going to be tough to score points on that team, I think, all year long. They're fast, they're physical, and they're smart.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of
this is one of those
breakdown.
years where I wish we were playing Michigan now. I think our defense is in rhythm.
Before we have something happens.
Well, I think Michigan's their quarterback play is not great right now. I think maybe one of the worst in the Big Ten. And what we don't want to happen.
He's that highly touted, not Chamberlain. What's his name? He's the guy who everybody wanted. He's like 6'6" or 6'7". He's getting better, but
well, that's why I say we don't want him to.
Yeah.
We don't want him to catch momentum here. It'd be nice if we were playing, but
his name starts with a B. It's gonna bug me.
Yeah. I don't pay attention to them till
I know.
end of the season.
I know, but
yeah.
No, the other thing I noticed with the game is I have felt about Ryan Day the way I felt about Kevin Stefanski. They run stuff and they expect the talent to win, instead of looking at what a defense does, make adjustments and find the openings in the defense. This game, I felt Ryan Day made some huge adjustments in that second half to get guys open, misdirection. Like the one play I remember, I'll use as an example, is it was the Carnell Tate. Was it a touchdown or did he get tackled on the one? But he started off, he was on the end of the line on the right side. threw a couple blocks. They rolled Sayan out to the right. And then all Tate did, he didn't even move. As the line let everybody shift, he literally just turned around and Sayan threw back against his body right to the middle of the field to Tate. And, you know, it's just those types of things. And then there were some things where they did some rollout to get Jeremiah Smith coming open and some things in the running game that were a little misdirection. So it just, that was one game where I can sit here and say Ryan Day coached.
Yeah.
He didn't rely on his talent. He coached, and he coached a good game, and he made adjustments, and he found things that worked. And it was fun to watch that chess match and not just, you know, we're talented.
Right.
You know,
Well, that,
and
you're
beat
exactly,
you until it wins.
that's a good way to put it, you know, because, you know, I felt like in the past, maybe the Michigan game last year is a good example of that.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going. And yes, you're correct.
We're going to run the ball
Yeah.
and we're going to go between
Yeah.
tackles and it did not work.
No.
There wasn't a whole lot of what's, you know, where's the strategy at? Where, you know, okay, they're beating us here. And he was just, we're going to win that battle. So I'm going to continue to pound. Well, obviously that doesn't, you know, you need to outcoach somebody. Where are they weak? What can we do? How, you know, and I, you know, as much as we all maybe hate's a strong word, respect, but dislike Nick Saban, you know, I refer back to, you know, Devontae Smith, you know, where they found ways
to get in the ball,
you know,
and
you saw him
destroy
doing all
us.
this crazy motion, zip, zap, back and forth, and you knew he was getting the ball.
Yeah, and you couldn't stop it.
And you couldn't stop it.
You couldn't stop it.
You know,
and you have all world talent on the defense.
Yes.
And you can't stop it.
Yeah. So, and we have all world talent on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep.
You know, start utilizing it, and it's, you know, it's encouraging to your point. I don't like to agree with you all the time, but to your point, it's encouraging to see Ryan Day finally making some adjustments. We're not seeing that on the pro level, so
nope.
You know, it's nice to see.
Not even close.
Nice to see the coaching make an impact here. So,
well, here in terms of your segue, because I was going to say this, and I'm like, it's a good segue anyway.
Yeah.
I heard a discussion today on a different show. They said, would any of the Browns, not named Jerry Jeudy, receivers, even play for the Buckeyes?
No, not right. No, I mean, maybe. When you say play, would they make the team?
Well, no, they were talking about play.
Play.
Like, would they beat out Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate? No.
I mean,
no.
maybe. I mean,
no. I said besides Jeudy. No.
Besides Jeudy, I don't even know if Jeudy would. I would think Isaiah Bond.
That was actually part of the discussion. Yeah. No, that's what I mean. I don't know that it would be. So, you know, every week we kind of do just kind of an update, our thoughts on rookies. Obviously, there's a big rookie discussion we'll have here in a minute, so let's save him. But thoughts on the rookies. We're going back to the Browns against Detroit. Thoughts on the Browns rookies against Detroit.
Well, again, Judkins continues to, since his start of his season, a game late, he continues to impress. He runs violent. He is the kind of running back that I think we hoped we would get. You know, again, we were all like, oh, Travion Henderson or, you know, Judkins. And, you know, I think Michael,
I still take either, but
yeah, I think Michael and you and I were all on the Judkins train. You know, I think we would have taken either, but
yeah,
you know,
I'll be honest. I think I was probably more on Travion.
Okay,
you guys were the Judkins. I was more Travion.
I thought
so.
his style, you know, anyway, and anyway, that's come to fruition. I see in him the kind of running back, a Northeastern Ohio, Browns type of blue collar mentality. Just he falls forward, he punishes people. He's still shifty though. You know, he's
you know who he is. Like I don't know if this is too much praise and oddly maybe too similar in other stuff, but he reminds me of rookie Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
That's what he reminds me of. He hard runner, not the biggest guy, hard runner, good footwork, always moving his feet, doesn't mind hitting you, but hits the hole quick. Like he doesn't Jerome Ford needs to go ballroom. He gets the ball and he just dances. Judkins gets the ball and it's like, I'm going to go that way.
Yep.
And he just goes that way. And
Yeah.
might get 2 yards, but he's not losing 2.
Yeah.
He's getting something out of it.
No, and he's so he's been a bright spot. You know, our receiving core now. Bond got more targets because of Tillman's injury.
I thought Bond was good.
Yeah, he was good.
thought he was
but
good.
He got increased targets because of the injury, so it'll be interesting to see how that continues. You know, he
Had
was
that
getting,
one really tough catch down the sideline.
yeah. So that you know, Fannin, you know, a little bit more quiet this week.
He's got to catch that ball.
Yeah.
I know it's a tough catch, but man,
Yeah.
you know, for all the grief we've given Flacco, that was a beautiful ball.
Yeah.
That he dropped.
So yeah. So you know, not much on the Sampson front. He was kind of quiet offensively.
I did, and I didn't see play counts. But was he? Did he get?
He was in. He was in
Was
the
he?
first half.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Did he get one run? Or is that, am I
the
thinking Ford?
stats. Dylan Sampson had one run for
Okay.
minus 2 yards.
Yep. Okay. So I was going to say, now that you said that, I think he had one run. But
And you know, he was targeted one time too for.
okay.
Yeah. So you know,
What a fall off though
Good.
for a guy that and then after game 1, we're like, oh, we got something.
yeah. Again, you know, this comes down to coaching, and I know we could talk about that ad nauseum here, but you know, we've brought a plethora of unique, talented skill players to this offense this year. And part of the struggle is, how are you going to utilize these guys? And when Judkins came in, I think, and it's, in my opinion, the right move is to say, this is our running back one. There is no, you know, we're not
Right.
doing
There's
the
not a running
carry
back
share
competition. Yeah.
like in Detroit, you know, where we're going to split carries, go
Yeah.
every other series.
We
You're a
don't
running back.
have that.
You're our RB1.
We don't have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. We
So
have
it's gonna be-
Judkins and then a cliff to the other 2.
Yeah, well, and but there's talent there in Sampson.
Yeah, not for
So how are they going to utilize him? How are they going to get him involved in the game? And I think that's part of the struggle, you know. And there's mitigating factors. We have no offensive tackles, and I'm talking about the leading into the Detroit week. We have no offensive tackles. You know, we have wide receivers dropping ball. We're killing ourselves, ending drives. A lot of self-inflicted wounds on the offense, and I think that takes away from a lot of the creativity in this that could be part of this offense. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, I think that's why you're not seeing Dylan Sampson get more burn. You're not seeing Harold Fannin get more burn, because there are other things that are ending drives. There's other circumstances. Will that change going forward? I don't know. I don't think it will.
Oh, we can
I think
talk
some
about
of the
that in a minute.
changes, yeah, some of the changes that are
Yeah.
being made, you know, I don't think are significant enough to say, oh, now we're gonna.
No, and it's you're part of the problem too. I think is you're relying on so many rookies to create, and now with Tillman out, you're talking about really even more because Jamari Thrash is essentially a rookie.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
Yeah.
again, now just real quick, Jamari Thrash, no targets.
Yeah.
No,
and he's
know
now
he was in-
he's now your WR2.
right.
I guess they could make Bond WR2 and put Thrash in the slot. So what I was going to say, I'll save that for the next topic. But I think there's what I put down here is when you have a bunch of rookies, you're going to expect, and we'll talk about defensively here in a second, but you're going to expect some up and down play. That's part of being a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
But you touched on what I think is important is you can see the potential. Now, Judkins looks like he's a day 1 starter, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Fannin, you can see the up and down. Sampson, you can see the up and down. Bond, you can see the up and down. But you can see enough up to be like, there's something there.
Yeah.
Now think about this. Just going back.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Schwartz, how much up did we see from him? His first pass, right? Was it his first pass like his only catch?
Yeah.
That was it. And then it was all down.
Yeah, it was all down.
You know, you got who's the other wide receiver we drafted in the 3rd round? David Bell.
Bell.
You know, he had one game that you could say was up. That was it. You talk about some of these guys that we've drafted. Jed Wills, never really up.
God, do I miss that guy right now, though?
I know, right? Somebody call him, see if he's available.
He wasn't that bad.
No, he's not as bad as what we have now.
We know now what bad tackle play looks like.
Yeah.
And Jed Wills was poor, but he was not as bad as what we got.
Not this poor. So that's where I say, like, it's a lot of our rookies, and we've talked about that, where our rookie classes, it seems like they're, like, at best, serviceable. This is a rookie class where you can be like, we might have something there.
Oh,
We might have something there. We might have something there. So that's encouraging. Defensively, you're talking about Schlesinger and Graham. And Graham was disappointing. We mentioned that earlier. I think it was a disappointing game. Haven't watched enough to know, were they double teaming him? What were they doing to make him, so quiet in the game? Schlesinger still, I think he had 8 tackles. He still had a good game. Now, again, there weren't the big plays like last game, where he's getting the sacks on Jordan Love, where he's getting the big tackles in the open field. But, a lot of what they didn't involve him. So it was him having to run to just make plays in piles,
right?
And in groups, which is fine. But you're talking about a rookie who's wearing the green dot. And, I think in the 3 of the 4 games I can think of, he's had at least 8 tackles or more.
Yeah. Well, again, there's just a couple things. We lose the turnover battle.
3-1.
So, but yeah, those 2 guys. Yeah, I mean, Schlesinger is a stud.
Yeah, I think so. I think
he's a stud, and I believe Mason Graham. Again, there's film on him now, so these next few games it's going to be critical. Is Minnesota as good as Detroit? I don't believe they are.
No.
And Carson Wentz is going to the quarterback.
I'd rather actually face JJ
McCarthy. I would too. I think he's overrated, but it'll be interesting to see going forward how this defense responds. And we mentioned it earlier. It's frustrating to be the number 1 defense in the league in several categories and top 5 in other categories, and be 1-3. How long are you going to be able to keep that up? These guys are playing for contracts. They're pros. I don't believe anybody's going to be quitting, but man, it's frustrating.
Very.
You need the other side of the ball to carry their own water.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
well, that brings us to
that brings us to
2. Can this ship be righted?
Yes. I believe it can be. I'll continue to play the optimist role here. But what needs to happen is
I'll let you continue, but you're wrong.
You don't think the ship can be righted. All right. Well, I believe that with what we've brought in, with the youth and the young players that we've brought in this draft class, that time is on our side, but we need to see growth. We need to see an actual functional offense, which again, when we all wanted Flacco to be the starter, I was on that boat.
We all agreed.
First of all, Joe isn't Joe from 2 years ago.
No,
that's
something definitely changed,
but it's not all him.
No,
it's not all him.
No, not even close.
There's a lot. Again, it's going to fall on Stefanski, and I believe it should fall on Stefanski. But there's other factors. We have been injury riddled on the offensive line, but okay, that every team battles these. And that's a management issue. Why is our depth so piss poor?
Yeah.
Why are we worst in the league at offensive tackle? Why can't we get better backups? Why can't Jack Conklin play more than 6 snaps a season for? I don't know. That's
he has the highest pay per snap in the NFL.
unbelievable. He and Kirk Cousins are masters of working the contract.
Hey, but they're nothing like John Wall.
I don't know if that's a basketball reference, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but worked the contract. And,
Yeah, he had
You know,
like
but-
it was like $160 million contract, and he played like 30 games.
and I'm not saying his injuries are fake or false, but man, to
Yeah.
play offensive tackle, you got to play through some of that stuff.
Yeah.
He plays through none of that stuff.
Now, I did see a video Thursday or Friday of last week where he was actually blocking. He had a huge brace on his elbow,
Yeah.
but he was actually blocking with impact on his hands. So hopefully that means he's close to returning. Now, I haven't heard word whether he's going to play this week, but I'm not optimistic like you. I don't think the ship can be righted. And I think it comes down to the picture.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the right guy for the job. I've said I think he is a guy that he can take a young group of, clay rookies and young players and mold them into players.
Mhm.
Okay. I know what you're thinking. He's not a guy like JB Bickerstaff. He's not a guy that can take a veteran team and make them a contender. I think he's built for a youth movement. And I've said that for years. For the same reason I say that about JB Bickerstaff. And you say what you want, but you see what JB did in Detroit.
Mhm.
He took a young, inexperienced team and he made them a playoff team. That is Kevin Stefanski to me. We have a lot of rookies. But the problem is we have enough veterans where we're not willing to go through 1-31 in the growing pains again right now.
Yeah.
Like we already wasted the primes of Nick Chubb. We got rid of Baker, Odell. We're wasting the primes of Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller. Like we didn't come into the season saying, look at our young guys. Let's hope they, that's a lot of promise. We came in saying, we're probably not very talented, but maybe we can find a way to win.
Yeah.
We knew when we were going to be 1-31, and we knew there was a building process from there. We're not that far removed from having a championship caliber roster. He couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
He's got to go. Now, if you're going to say we're full on rebuild, then maybe he deserves to stay. But then what do you do in 3 years when he gets us one more playoff win? He's got guys playing well, and now the team's outgrown him. You got to make a change.
Well, here's the issue I have with him even staying at this point. And I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I have the luxury of doing that. The offense, the lack of offense, the offensive offense.
Yes, it's very offensive. Agreed.
That's on him.
Hmm?
He's had guys to point the finger at for a couple years now. They've gone by the wayside. Took over this year, and it's his offense.
Mm-hmm.
This is his scheming and his play calling. At the end of the day, we're 4 games in. And again, we were being 1-3 at this point in the season is not a shock.
No,
it's not a shock.
No.
We were all
now
expecting.
how bad we've been, that's a shock.
Yes, how bad the offense has been.
Right.
We very well could be 2-2, and that has nothing to do with the offense.
No.
So unless something happens, unless we see something happen over the next 13 football games, that this offense magically turns from a 13, 14 point per game team to a 24, 27, 30 point per game team, I don't think you can keep him even in a rebuild.
No. Well, then let's finish off this topic with the big change. Dylan Gabriel has officially been named the starter for Sunday. Go.
It's not a surprise. I mean, you cannot perform like Joe Flacco's performed, whether it's all his fault or not, and expect to keep the job. And we all kind of knew that 40-year-old Joe Flacco was not going to be a long-term solution. That at some point, if we were not 4-2, 3-3 after this first 6 game, this gauntlet, that they were going to make a switch and let's see what we got in the rookies, because next year we know we have 2 first-round draft picks. What are we going to do? We need to find out, are we going to be drafting a quarterback? And you can't do that when you've got 2 rookies that you spent draft capital on, sitting on the bench and not knowing what you really have actionable. So this is not a complete shock. Do I think the Dillon Gabriel move, my personal opinion, is going to move mountains and we're magically going to? I do not. I do not. We still have a offensive line problem. There's obviously still a scheming problem going on. So I don't think going from 6'6" gunslinger Joe Flacco to 5'3" Dillon Gabriel is.
That's in long cleats.
Yeah, I don't think
it's 5'3" with long cleats.
Yeah. So seriously, he's 5'10", 5'11", whatever he says he is. He's undersized, left-handed quarterback. Very, very, the accolades, the collegiate accolades. He played a lot of college football, a lot of games played. There's a lot of experience. He's very disciplined, very good completion percentage in college. So there's a lot of good things on paper. How that translates to the NFL, and more direct how that translates to playing in Stefanski's offense. I don't have a whole lot of confidence.
See, and this is where I differ. I think I differ with you. Is I expected the move, and I know why the move was made. This is the guy that Stefanski handpicked. He's been grooming him for this opportunity. Like this is Stefanski's make or break. This is the guy he wanted. This is the guy he reached for in the draft. This is the guy that is the supercomputer that knows the playbook in and out. However, I told you guys in our text chain today, Dillon, to me, seems like a really nice, smart guy. He does not, to me, come off as a guy who's going to lead an NFL locker room. He's not a guy that players are going to go to war for, that are going to follow, that are going to get, amped up and ready. And that's not that guy. He's a nice guy who knows the playbook. To me, and I get why, because it's Stefanski's guy, but I don't like Stefanski, so I'm disagreeing with this decision anyway. Shedeur, as much as like he struggled up and down in the preseason, as much as he has to learn, to me, that's the guy you turn the reins over to when he's ready. And because he's a guy that the players will follow, he's the guy that the players will go to war for, he's the guy that they'll bleed out on the field for, they'll give that extra effort for, because he's a guy that can solidify, bring together a locker room during this type of turmoil. That's what I see. That's, so do I understand why this decision was made? Yes, but I disagree with it because to me, you wait until Shedeur's ready.
And here's the problem with that: waiting till Shedeur's ready and keeping Shedeur out of the spotlight. Like today, even though he was asked his thoughts on still being QB3 after they make the move to Dillon Gabriel and Joe Flacco being.
I thought it was kind of funny.
Well, yeah, it is, but how's that going to settle in the locker room? How's that going to settle with the coach? The coach who's guiding a team right now. They're 1-3. He knows he's on the hot seat, or at least he should be on the hot seat. And you've got your third string quarterback creating media drama. And expecting, right, wrong, or indifferent. I actually agree with you here that he, should be and could be the guy that could, bring some kind of semblance of normalcy to the Cleveland Browns this year. But if he's surrounded by drama, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It could just be, at this point, it could just be dig your heels in. And if I'm going down as the head coach, I'm going to go down with my guy, and you're going to continue to ride the pine. And then,
well, because Gabriel has Stefanski's personality.
Yeah.
Which I get. Now, again, him pantomiming answers and not talking, likely, and I've heard other people surmise this too, it was they're going to ask you if you're QB2, just don't answer questions.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't answering a question
Yeah.
in the Shador way.
Yeah.
I get it. I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. First time when I was in college, and probably wasn't the good thing to do. So I get that too. You know, we got a new coach when I was playing in college, and he walks in, or he's sitting at his desk. He calls me in to kind of do the first meet and greet, and he says, "Hey, will you hit the door?" And I went, knocked the door, walked right in. Told me to hit the door.
Yeah.
I hit the door.
Yeah.
You know,
Median.
you know,
Median / basketball player.
it got me in trouble
Yeah.
more than one
So
time.
I I don't know. I don't hold much faith that this move to Gabriel is going to be earth shattering.
Do we score 20 points?
No.
I don't either. I don't think so either. I don't think so either. I think with our receiving core, you know, you've got Jerry Jeudy, and then you've got a 5'10" and under team of other receivers. Like, you just don't have, you know, between. I don't know who all they're gonna bring up, you know, or how they're gonna promote, or who else they're gonna put on the active game roster, but they're all small.
Yeah.
They're all small. We saw that when we went to practice.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of 5'10" guys running around the field.
Yeah, I think Corley's got some size, you know, but you know, again, it's going to be Judy, Thrash, Bond. You know, you got Laverdane that's probably going to be doing some returning. You got Corley that's brought up. So, you know, at the end of the day, those are the same guys that have been dropping the ball for Joe Flacco. So,
Yeah. Now, the only good, you know, I will say this: the only plus to Dylan Gabriel is for those 6 plays, you actually have your best tackle protecting the blind side. Except for those 6 plays.
Yeah, for the 6 plays, if Conklin actually plays for 6 plays.
Well, he will eventually.
Yeah.
At some point,
at
he'll
some
play
point,
for 6
yeah,
plays.
yeah.
And during those 6 plays, you will have.
So there is a chance if Conklin comes back and plays right tackle, and they did make a trade. I think you've got it on the slideshow
Yeah,
here.
I'll actually skip ahead. We can talk about that now.
Yeah, so they made a trade for Cam Robinson from the only team in the NFL with a worse offensive line than the Cleveland Browns, the Houston Texans, and we brought Cam Robinson in. We swapped late round picks, I think, in 2027.
Yep.
And you know, if he moves to left tackle and is indeed an upgrade from debacle that's been playing left tackle, then Dylan Gabriel could come in with a better offensive line than what Flacco has played with the past, you know, 4 games.
Yeah.
But even with DeJuan Jones, Pro Football grade, PFF grade was horrible when he
It was
playing.
abysmal.
Yeah,
His run
so-
block was
so,
under 40. His pass block was in the 50s.
so,
You can see Cam Robinson is at least, you know, better.
yeah, yeah,
He's not blowing the doors off anyone, but he's better than DeJuan,
right.
who was starting for us early in the year.
Right.
So
Right. He's certainly better than the 2 guys that we've been throwing out there for the past couple games. So, you know, Gabriel could have a more functional offensive line. You know, that's assuming that Conklin plays and can play more than 6 plays, and assuming that Cam Robinson is better than the guys that we've had. And I will just say this: Cam Robinson was a backup on the Houston Texans offensive line that is not a good offensive line. So he's not even a starter on a bad.
I think they
offensive line.
regret trading Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah. So again, you know, I hate
He's a
to be
former first-round
negative.
pick, so there's talent there. If we can bring Bill Callahan back up,
Yeah.
you know, from Tennessee, maybe then he can
If-
turn Cam into a legitimate left tackle.
If Callahan's son gets canned,
Yeah.
which he's on the hot seat,
Yeah.
we could bring Callahan back as a
Yeah.
offensive line coach.
Works for me.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I hate to be negative, but there's just not a whole lot of like positive things on the offensive side of the ball. It says, "Oh, we're going to bring in Dylan Gabriel, and that's going to make
That's
us
going
go
to fix
from,
anything.
That's going to make us go from
'Cause
this to that."
Joe
you know?
Flacco was an issue. Joe Flacco was not the issue.
He was part. He was.
That's
he
what I
was
said.
a-
He was an issue. He
an
wasn't the
Yeah,
issue.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of, you know, and again, some of it's personnel, some of it's the offensive tackle, some of it's the lack of the catching of the receivers' course, but a lot of it's coaching
Mhm.
and scheming,
Mhm.
and that's not changing.
Guys aren't open. It's vanilla playbook. It's your run plays are predictable. Your pass plays are predictable. There's no misdirection. The motion never does anything. There's no jet sweep. Like, there just isn't. Like every other playbook, you see plays, and it might only be 5 plays a game.
Yeah.
But those 5 plays a game, they keep a defense honest during the other plays. Because at any minute, you can pull this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think the way I described it the other day is we put a receiver on this side, we put a receiver on this side, put a running back in the backfield, and we say, you run a route, you get the ball, or you pass block. Like it just, again, I'm not an NFL coach. I'm not as smart as Kevin Stefanski. But I've watched enough sports where you know what you see, even if you can't explain why it is the way it is, it's just not good. It's vanilla. It's, I want some Rocky Road or some cookie dough or, some turtle ice cream. I don't want vanilla. Give me something with some flavor.
Well, and again, we mentioned this. I know we mentioned this last week. We talked about Kevin Stefanski having that first drive. And, even Joe Flacco was what? 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 for that first drive. And then it was bad.
He was 16 for 34, which means he was 10 for 28 after the first drive.
Yeah. So
10 for 28.
Yeah. Now, hopefully that rookie can come in here and give a spark. He's going to be playing all hyped up. And,
the one thing he'll do is he'll allow you to do more bootlegs and do a little more with his feet. Whether that buys us anything, I don't know.
If we don't get better tackle play, there is not going to be any bootleg.
True. They'll be running for your life bootlegs.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's finish up a little bit. We're going to go back here. Like I said, Cavs are right around the corner. I don't know if you caught any of the media day or at least some of the results of media day, some of the highlights. But I saw some interviews with Donovan Mitchell. And number one, he looks in great shape. He doesn't look as different as, have you seen Zion Williamson?
Yeah.
Holy new person.
I've seen a bunch of memes too.
Yeah. I really want to see him play and see how it's impacted his game. Because he wasn't even that toned in high school.
Yeah.
Alexa, off. Pardon. Okay, she's off. Sorry about that. Must be 8 o'clock. So anyway, he looks in great shape and he looks in great spirits. And the one thing he said, I saw him in an interview, the one thing he said that I thought was really telling is somebody asked him about, he said after the disappointing loss to Indiana last year, he was asked and he said something to the effect of, I'm gonna read everything you guys write. I'm gonna pay attention to everything you guys say, and he's gonna use it to fuel him.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they asked him about that. He goes, I didn't do any of that. He said, I actually disconnected from social media. I went traveling with my fiance. I hung out. Like, I actually like that.
Yeah.
And because to me, as much as I like the drive that somebody like Kobe has, to me, there's got to be balance and there's got to be that moment where, you know what, I need to get that sick feeling out to be able to restart and regroup.
Yeah,
and I like that he did that.
Yeah.
And he seems in a really good, again, there's snippets and snapshots in interviews.
Yeah.
But he seems in a really, really good headspace, which I really like.
Yeah.
So I'm really encouraged by him. He talked a lot about Mobley, and he said, I know at some point I'm probably going to need to take over, especially while DG and Strus are out, and He said, but I'm fine. Sit back and let guys like Mobley see what they can do.
Yeah.
Then when it's my turn, then I'll take over. But I like his mentality and everything he exuded from media day. I was very high on.
Yeah. He's just got, especially early in the season with a couple injuries that we're going to be battling, it's going to be key for somebody to step up. And I think he's going to probably give the opportunity for that.
Yeah.
It's, as Michael would say,
there's 162 games left.
Well, it's an 82-game season.
Oh.
So, we don't need our star burning out in the first 2 months of the season because he's got to score 50, 60 points a game to keep us competitive.
Right.
And I don't think this team is built with the need for that on every given night. but it'd be interesting to see who steps up. And I know you've mentioned some other guys, Tyson and Sam Merrill and who's the center?
Which one? We got two of them. No. Oh, you talking about the new ones?
No.
Oh, Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting to see some of those guys step up and really take more of a not ownership but leadership. Mobley especially. There's a guy. He's getting paid to be. You got the face of the franchise.
You got almost 4 max contract guys.
Yeah.
Because Jared Allen's now a $30 million a year guy.
Yeah.
But it's. I'm going to touch on this just quick. The other part that I thought was interesting that they talked about, and I didn't see any stuff with Kenny Atkinson, unfortunately, but they talked about a new conditioning program because last year during the season, we talked about how deep they were, 10, 11, 12 guys. So you can be a little less conditioned because you're not playing as many minutes.
Sure.
But the problem is come playoffs, that 10, 11, 12 is becoming 7, 8,
9.
Maybe 9.
Right.
So now your 28 to 30 minutes is now 38 to 40 minutes. And so they talked about they did a new conditioning program because of how they felt physically last year in the Indiana series.
They were gassed.
They were gassed. The physical play wore them down. So I'm interested to see how that manifests itself.
Yeah.
But I'm curious your take here. I wrote down, so the players we lost, Ty Jerome, Isaac Okoro, Tristan Thompson, Amani Bates we just let go, and Devontae Green, who was not used a lot, but I really liked the way he played. And we brought in Lonzo Ball, Nance Jr., we drafted Tyrese Proctor, and then just signed, which again, last week's show, what did I say the Cavs needed?
Bruiser.
We needed a bruiser.
Yeah.
What did we do?
Yeah.
We went and got Thomas Bryant. Probably of what you could do with a minimum contract. I mean, that's a home run.
Yeah.
That's a home run. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on who we lost versus who we gained, kind of the outlook,
Well, I was a big Ty Jerome fan.
Yes, you were.
So
that's kind of why I asked.
Yeah. So that one kind of makes me a little sad. I mean, but if Ball can be healthy and Merrill can step up his offensive side of the game, I think Merrill was more of a defensive juggernaut, more so than Jerome was. And if his offense can be tweaked a little bit, Ball stays healthy and can give us a little added juice on the offensive side, I think that's a good thing. I think Nance Jr. is going to be, I mean, we know what he is, but I think defensively, I think he's going to be a big asset. And I think that was supposed to be Okoro's. He seemed to not be certainly not in the playoffs, what we thought.
The problem was he's a very good on-ball defender. He never seemed to quite mesh with the team concept and what the team wanted to do defensively. And then he was an offensive liability come playoff time.
Yeah. So, I don't see much of a drop there. Thompson, and those other two guys, Bates and Green, were limited minute role players that saw little to no playoff minutes at all. So I don't see any real loss there. So,
and that's where I wanted to get your input, because when you look at that in terms of a playoff perspective, because I don't think anybody's thinking this team isn't going to make the playoffs.
Right.
But so I'm speaking from a playoff perspective. Ty Jerome benched because he was a defensive liability and wasn't hitting shots. Okoro didn't play. Tristan Thompson didn't play. Amani Bates didn't play. Javonte Green didn't play. None of those guys really impacted. Now,
the Indiana
Ty Jerome was good against Miami.
Yeah, I was going to say, earlier.
But the other thing Ty Jerome does, and I love Ty Jerome, but because of his propensity to just shoot the ball, everything else offensively can stagnate, especially when he's not hitting shots, because he's going to keep shooting, and so everybody else is just standing around watching him miss shots. When he's making it, everybody's feeling good and da-da-da-da. Well, you bring in Lonzo Ball, who can shoot the ball. Not a great shooter, adequate, but he's a playmaker. He's tall. He's a great defender when he's healthy. he's a little less mobile now, so his defense isn't quite as good, but he's still a good defender, a plus defender, who's going to distribute the ball and get other guys involved. When you talk about guys stepping up, Jalen Tyson, again, Sam Merrill, kind of guys like that off the bench. Once everybody's healthy, I think Max Strus will come off the bench. Now you've got a point guard that can distribute the ball and get it to shooters, Strus and Merrill and those guys and Tyson in places where they can just shoot the ball, right? That's what he does. That's Lonzo Ball's biggest gift, is his ability to pass and get the ball up the floor. Okay, Larry Nance Jr., 40% roughly 3-point shooter, plus defender, can play the 4 or 5, right? Veteran guy, playoff experience. He's not going to get rattled. He's going to be able to play in the playoffs. He can shoot the ball and he can defend. Proctor, he'll be a guy during the regular season that's going to be more like, not lesser than Jerome and Okoro, at least initially, but bigger than Green and Bates. Right? He's going to fall somewhere in there where I think he's going to give you 10 to 12 minutes regularly. And his game is similar to, like, if you meshed Ball and Merrill together, that's Proctor. Okay. So he's going to give you a little bit of everything. Good player, interesting prospect. We'll see. But then Thomas Bryant. Now all of a sudden, he's a guy who's probably not going to play a lot in the playoffs, but he's going to allow Allen and Mobley to get to the playoffs healthy.
But he also could come in and be in the playoffs in that
He
enforcer
could.
kind of,
He could.
where we need somebody to go in and really just.
So he absolutely could, and he hurt us when we played Indiana.
Yeah.
Obviously that was the playoffs. He didn't play a ton of minutes, but he hurt us when he came in. So you lose 5 guys,
good
1.5 of which were playoff contributors, and you bring in 4 of which 3 are probably viable. The 4th one's unknown.
Yeah.
And so I think overall the Cavs have gotten better. I'm excited. I think they filled holes that they needed. They had to have a 4 big rotation because, again, Dean Wade, he's a stretch 4, but I'm not sold on his game, and he's not consistent enough, and he's been awful in the playoffs. So I think you had to have a 4-man rotation of more interior-oriented bigs. Dean Wade is more of a big 3. 3-man, not 3 people. And so I think you got that flexibility, but then with Proctor and Ball, you have bigger guards to help put around Garland and this guy, Mitchell.
Yeah.
Lee, the guy behind me.
Yeah.
That guy. To add height around them to help defensively. So I think it's a much more versatile team. I'm excited to see how they play. They've got a full preseason with DeAndre Hunter and with Kenny Atkinson because he's not in France coaching their national team. Yeah. So a lot to be excited for.
I got three players. You give me your opinion on that I felt had some disappointing playoffs. And that's kind of what happens. We lost to Indiana. There was disappointment. Yeah. So that's where our focus is on that series specifically. But the playoffs in general for me, I thought Jarrett Allen was really a disappointment.
100%, and he has been pretty much every year.
Okay, so I'll give you all 3 names though before you comment.
Sorry.
Jarrett Allen, big disappointment in the playoffs. Dean Wade, big disappointment in the playoffs. And then DeAndre Hunter, big disappointment in the playoffs. What are your expectations? And those are 3 guys. When we look at minutes per game and we're looking at playoff roster and we're talking about who can contribute and do what. What are your expectations as far as growth going forward this year?
I think Jarrett Allen is, when you've got Nance and you've got Thomas Bryant, he's either going to put up or shut up. You now have the ability to not play him and go matchup specific. If you're playing Philadelphia and he's underperforming, you throw Thomas Bryant out there and say, you guard Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
If you're playing, trying to think who's
Atlanta.
Actually, Atlanta's a good one. Yeah. Atlanta's a good one because with Porzingis and Johnson, now you've got Mobley and Nance. You can throw at them. Throw Mobley on Porzingis and Nanson Johnson. And so now you've got the ability, if Jared Allen's not going to step up, you have the ability to match whatever the other team does between Bryant and Nance.
You think he
So-
views that roster, the way that the roster's kind of been built, as a more of a not a threat, but a motivator?
Yeah, I think because I think Jared Allen's a good enough guy. I think it's important enough to him that I think when I say put up or shut up, I think he's going to put up.
Do you think?
I do.
So I just remember watching, body language and
Mhm.
everything,
Mhm.
and he was absent.
Mhm.
Certainly in that Indiana.
There's
series.
there's very few motivators like competition. And if I know I got nobody behind me and that's going to push me for minutes or come in for me and I'm not feeling it, like it is what it is. If I'm come in and I'm like, ho hum, oh crap.
Yeah.
I wake up, so I think he'll be better. I do. Dean Wade, I'm out on. I think you play him during the regular season. He's your 10th, 11th, 12th guy. During the playoffs, he can't play. I think he's proven what he is over the last 3 years. He cannot shoot in the playoffs. I don't think he can play. I'm not a huge fan of his game. I think defensively, he's a good defender. But
even that was off.
But it was, and I think it plays into his shooting. But I think the part of the problem is he's a hybrid 3-4. He's not a 3 and he's not a 4, and so he's a man without a position. And so I think it just hurts him because he's never a good matchup against anybody. And so I think I'm out on him. He's a regular season guy to help get rest for the guys who are going to play during the playoffs. DeAndre Hunter, absolutely, 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 he is going to be a key piece in the playoffs. I think he's going to be your third best player. I am very high on DeAndre Hunter. I love his game. I love his both sides of the ball, his ability to create, his ability to shoot. I think what happened in the playoffs, and Atkinson admitted it as much, is I think because they didn't have a season with him, he came in mid-season, they didn't have a role for him. And they never fleshed out that role. He just kind of hit the ground running and then figure out as it go. And then he got hurt. And then it was like in and out. And then I don't think he ever really knew what his job was. And so I think what you'll see this year is I think you'll see Mobley ascend a little more. I think you'll see Mitchell stay about the same. I think Garland, once he comes back healthy, will be more in the 15 and 8 range, not 18 and 6 range. And I think you'll see DeAndre Hunter still hovering around that 20 points a game. I think he's going to be a key piece.
You see him as a starter or a sixth man?
No, he has to start. And that's why I say it. To me, Strus, Merrill, Jalen Tyson, those are your bench guys. I don't think you can go, 6 foot, 6'3", 6'5" across the board. You've got to have that 6'8" wing that can guard multiple positions.
So you go Jared Allen, you go Mobley, you go DeAndre Hunter, you go Mitchell, DG.
Yeah. Yep. So that's how I do. I think that's your best lineup. I think that's what they'll do this year now that they have Hunter for a full season, preseason.
Strus was
he's starting 3.
He was our 3
at 6'5". It's just a lot of matchup issues, a lot of defensive issues
there with him not being the start. Now, obviously,
no, I think it'll actually be better for him because you tell him you come in and just shoot the ball, just let it fly. You don't have to defer to Donovan. You don't have to defer. You don't have to defer to Donovan. You don't have to defer to Darius. You don't have to defer to because you're coming in where 1, 2, or 3 of them are sitting. Just let it fly. Your job is to come in, wreak havoc on the defensive end, and shoot the ball. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. You have Lonzo Ball as your playmaker. You know what I mean? Like I just think
that could be the second 5.
Once everybody's healthy,
could be fun.
Yeah, I think it could be very fun. You got Lonzo Ball, Sam Merrill, Max Strus. You've got Larry Nance, Thomas Bryant. Jalen Tyson. Tyrese Proctor, Dean Wade. Like you've got interesting combinations. That'll be see what he'll do with
That's
it.
That's like 13 people that we've mentioned right now. I don't know how many can we carry into
15.
15.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. But because my family's going to be home soon and the dogs are going to go nuts. Just a few last things with Smorgasbord. I just wanted to bring up Chase McLaughlin, former Brown.
Yeah. Thanks for
that. He set an NFL record for the longest outdoor field goal in NFL history. while Schmidt misses another one.
So once again, you leave the Browns and you become something.
He's on Tampa Bay,
so
who's
happens
good. They're going to be in the playoffs. He's their starting kicker with Baker. Yeah. With Emeka Egbuka. Like, you know, it's just frustrating, but it is. I mean, congrats to him. Happy for him. Obviously, he was only 1 year here, I think, in Cleveland. And so it wasn't like he was a long tenure Brown, but of course, just another story of a Brown leaving here and doing well. So the only thing around the league, real quick, I wanted to get your input for the sake of time. We won't go long. Focus on the AFC North. Steelers are 3-1, Baltimore's 1-3, and since he doesn't have Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Oh, and Baltimore doesn't have Lamar.
Do we know how long he's out for? I haven't heard.
He will miss time.
I know it's a hammy, but
it says he will miss time.
Okay.
So I haven't seen the amount, but you know, that's, I guess maybe that might be another thought why they're making a move to Dillon Gabriel at this point right now, is to spark something, because everything is in, you know, we're still within striking distance. You know, and if I'm being completely honest, Minnesota is vulnerable. They're 2-2. Mm-hmm. They're playing with Carson Wentz, who is a known commodity. They're not exactly lighting the world on fire. You know, if this move proves to be the right move, and Kevin Stefanski can generate some offense with this change, then I think the AFC North is still in play. And I think that, you know, you highlighted it right now. Aaron Rodgers playing okay, but he's 100 years old, and Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. Baltimore's down a QB. Since he's down a QB, the opportunity is there. If this, you know, with the defense that we have, you know, if we were middle of the road defense or bottom of the barrel defense, and the offense was playing like this, you know, I'd say we don't have a shot at all. But our defense could.
The defense could help. But the AFC North is not what we thought it would be, from injuries and just rough starts and weird stuff. I don't think we have a chance, but we also were gifted a chance with, you know, a bad Baltimore start, injuries, and, you know, a Pittsburgh team that right now is overachieving. We'll see if they can keep it up. Little fantasy update. I'm 2-2. Jason's 3-1. Top of the league. Scoring a lot of points. He's actually going to be tough to beat. But I, oddly enough, have demolished my kids in the trades I made to help them now, because Malik Neighbors is out for the year. Omarion Hampton is killing it. He's got like 60 points the last 2 weeks. And Derrick Henry has thrown in 2 goose eggs basically in back-to-back weeks, and Drake is salty. And so I'm trying to help them pick up the pieces from the trades I made to help them. But right now, Jason is killing it. And I'm at least on a 2-game win streak. So I'm showing some life. But we'll see. And last thing, I just thought it was interesting. Trey Turner, he won the NL batting crown
with a whopping
304 batting average. Now, it's the lowest NL batting champ in Major League history. But not only that, he's the only person in the entire National League that hit over 300. Like, just to give you context in where hitting is at right now, that to me is insane. I grew up when Tony Gwynn was at 340, 350, 360 every year. And who was a guy for Boston? Wade Boggs. Every year was high batting averages. And you got guys hitting 50, 60 home runs, and Ken Griffey. And now it's all of a sudden, you know, you got guys barely hitting 300. So I just thought that was an interesting stat to bring up. Family is literally like seconds away. So before they come home and the dogs go nuts, anything to wrap up with?
Go Browns. Go Guards.
Go Guards tomorrow, yes. And you all enjoy the rest of your week. We will be back hopefully on Monday with a better report on the Browns and some exciting stuff on Buckeyes and Guardians. Until then, this is 3 and Out. Peace.